My belief is that if we all agree that something is my responsibility and it does not go well, then I need to be 100% accountable. Like, the amount of leaders and CEOs and leaders I talk to that will tell me the reason this year went bad was, well, their head of sales was just shit the bed, or my CFO, like they just keep talking, and literally I wait, I eat it, I rope a dope, little Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, and then I go in for my move. I'm like, you hired them. You are allowed to fire them. I have good news. 100% of the problems in your business are your fault. Like, it's true, and in this framework, the energy in this kind of framework of a business, if you spend 1 minute crying about what they're doing in corporate, that's a minute you're not spending on the shit that you do control. I just will never understand it. I sit on some I sit on the board of Bojangles, right? Franchisor, franchisee. And all these people, they're like, you know, some franchisee came up to me because they know I'm on the board, and they just start shitting on the brand. And they're like, he's like, Gary, you have to understand, entrepreneur to entrepreneur, this is a real problem. I looked him dead in the face and said, bro, you're not an entrepreneur. If you sit in a framework where you rely on a corporate entity to be a partner, you're not a full-bred entrepreneur. And you must face that. That is the truth. I said to him right to his face, I said, if you're an entrepreneur, you would start, instead of having a franchisee of Bojangles, you would start Schmo Shangles. And this goes back to self-awareness, period. So what do I think about accountability? I think it stuns me with all the shit that's going on in my life, how happy I am. And when I deconstructed that over 25 years, number 3 is the game. It gets really good. It's why everyone's so unhappy right now. They actually believe all the propaganda in media and social media that everybody but themselves is in charge. You don't like the school? Take your kid out. You don't like America? Fucking move. There was another book I wrote called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And it talked about the individual posts can be jabs. You're not setting up. The reason most people in insurance, when I analyze it, both on the brand or on the individual level, don't succeed, is every one of your posts is a sales pitch. And they smell it, and they're not interested. When you start mixing it, and you start talking about Zelda and golf, or, this is a big one, pretend that you retired from this, and you've now started an insurance media business. You're now the Bloomberg or CNBC of insurance, and you're not talking as a human who's trying to sell something, but you're talking a level up about the space or the opportunities or this new tax law. You're talking about information, that's education, that becomes a gateway. That's a good framework to think through.
I'd say one last thing.
Please.
Is don't give up after like 2 posts.
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to 7, tenacity. Like, this is what always blows me away. People that got in this room, you put in the work. And then you go into this new arena and you're like 4 posts in, you're like, I suck, fuck that Gary guy. The first 1,000 posts I made meant nothing. So like, I'd like to think that this room understands what a good day's of work, putting in the work, learning really means, and how that can actually impact the outcome. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I really think the content thing is very misunderstood. Like very. People, they have all sorts of feelings about social media, that it's bad, that the kids, I get it, but I really hate making headline reading opinions your business strategy. Let me sneak one in. I'm the worst, I know. One more, somebody.
He told me, he's like, Saeed, I gotta get out of here at 3:55.
I know, but we've got to roll here.
Right.
Anybody got a quick question?
Right here, Christina.
All right.
You saw the board.
Yes.
You saw the board here with all.
I did, which fired me up. I wanted, you know how crazy I am, Christina? I saw the board, I'm like literally my DNA, I'm like, I need to get to the top of that fucking board. like I'm like, should I retire and join this company to get on the top of these boards fuck me up, but go ahead.
All right, 2 questions. How do you get to the top of that board using all 12 and a half?
By knowing which 2 or 3 to use in every circumstance, both on the customers you're trying to get and on the employees that work for you.
Second, and I'm just gonna use myself as an example. Let's say we have somebody on the board or group of people on the board, what have you, like someone in your company, maybe you've got a great salesman, he's top of the game, and there's some toxicity around.
Yeah.
Do you risk that?
So it's interesting. In my company, yes, because everyone's an actual employee of the corporation. This is a little bit of a different framework, right? Yeah. Like this is not a corporation and you're all employees, you have your own shit. My answer to that is a little bit different. My answer to, if you look at that board and you're like, damn, I want to get there, but I don't want to compromise or act like that. That goes to a thing that me and my father fought about for 20 years. When I started working for my dad at 22 years old, I told him, I will spend 0 minutes on our competition. He thought that was the craziest shit he ever heard. He was obsessed with what every liquor store in New Jersey did and what they got. Did they get a better deal on this vodka? He just spent all his energy on everyone else. I said, Dad, the only people I'm gonna pay attention to is first our employees, second our customers, and way down here, number 29, I'll have a sense of what the competition's doing because you never wanna be delusional and audacious. But when I tell you, very few seconds will be spent on them because what they do has no impact. I promise you, if I started in this company tomorrow, had no contacts on that board, within a half decade, I'd be the first person on this board, I promise you, because nothing and no one on that list is stopping you from doing what you need to do.
You and your brother, you lead the firm. I'm sure you think about this. You've
Yes.
got kids. All of us have
Yep.
kids. We have a lot of happy nepotism here. So I'm just curious how the 12 and a half fit in with that.
Well, number 3 is a big one. We just touched on it. Like, my kids, I think all of us who've garnered success, especially if we didn't start with anything, have feelings towards this. I think about accountability. Look, I'll give you a really good answer to this. When all those really wealthy people started saying things 10 years ago that they were giving 99% to charity, right? Gates, and I was like, that's crazy, because I come from an immigrant family where everything's passed on. I promise you, I don't think that's crazy anymore. What do I think about succession plan? I think it's about parenting. I'm thrilled to talk about it in the macro. I have no interest in telling anyone here what to do. That's their business, their money, their prerogative. But what I will tell you is, you want your kids to be hungry? Don't feed them. People, I'm on the board of Charity Water. We build wells in Africa. One of the things that's incredibly passionate to me, as something that when I got educated about it, I just couldn't understand. You wanna talk about gratitude, number 1? 730 million people on Earth right now do not have access to clean water within a day. Water, the shit that is on your table. That really shook me. You wanna talk about real, we think about all this stuff, right? Water. So it's amazing. When I got involved with Scott Harrison, you should all look up Charity Water. It's pretty profound if you want to learn a little bit about it. Anyway, it was 1 billion people only 10 years ago. I'm really proud of the work. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and I'm a well member, which means our donations pay for the staff. It means if you give $1, it all goes to the work, not the bullshit that we see with these nonprofits. Anyway, enough of that commercial. My friends hit me up all the time. Hey Gary, you're a well member on Charity Water. Can I send my kid to Africa with you for a week to be on the ground? I'm like, you can, and you should. But if you think your private school, private jet riding 17-year-old is gonna go to Africa for a week and somehow profoundly change into another human being, you're out of your goddamn mind. My friends, none of us can fake environment. You can't fake environment. What we can do is teach our kids that it's not their money and they should be kind to people. What we can do is stop giving them money. That's your choices, but as succession planning, I think $1 million, $1 million inherited is an obnoxious amount of money. And so I've stopped thinking about that a long time ago because I think about all the kids that are growing up right now that grew up the way I am, that would kill my kids in any level of competition in merit-based business. And that doesn't bother me. I don't want my kids to be entrepreneurs. I don't want my kids to be even business winners. I want them to be kind. And I want them to like what they do the way I like what I do. My favorite part about being an entrepreneur is I love the game, not the things the game allows me to buy.